for Monday, August 24th, the Page County School Board. I need a motion to allow Ms. Henry to attend via phone.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
So I got a motion for her to attend via phone and a second.
Ms. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes. We're ready for the roll call?
Ms. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes. Moment of silence. You join me to stand, we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have our agenda. Any information, any changes or additions?
Yes, sir. If we could make a change to the consent agenda under personnel actions and add personnel action A1 and A2.
A1 and A2.
Sure.
Okay. Any other suggestions? Okay, I'll need need a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Mr. Thomas, and a second by Mr. Bodwick.
Ms. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes. All right, our consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda in its entirety.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Ms. Bryant. Motion by Mr. Thomas.
Ms. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes. Informational item 4.01, facility study update. Dr. Huber?
Absolutely. Good evening, members of the board, the audience, and those watching from home. This evening, I have a very brief facility study update to provide to the board. This is based upon a lot of the feedback that we've received regarding questions around class sizes if we were to pursue a consolidation in our facility study and our master plan. So this is really a brief presentation to show you what those numbers would look like and to hopefully answer any questions you may have as a board as we work through that. So if you look at our agenda, it's really just very two straightforward items. Class sizes under intermediate option 1. If you can recall, we presented two intermediate options, option 1 and option 2A. Option 1, as you may recall, was a look at a consolidation only of Springfield Elementary School and shifting grade levels at the middle school and high school levels as well as the elementary school levels. Option 2A was also very similar, but also included Shenandoah Elementary School. And at this time, for this presentation, I'm only focused on intermediate option 1, just to clarify that. So under intermediate option 1, I just want to remind everyone of the options that we are looking at. And it's really important to just note that we are looking at kind of two phases of this plan. And that's very important for our community and our board and our staff and families to understand. There are several options that we have considered, and we've discussed those in other presentations. And we have intermediate and long-term facility options. This slide shows you our long-term facility options, which is a 25-year master plan. That's the work that RRMM has been working on and will be presenting to the board and the public here in September. And those were the options that were decided upon and asked for further review by the Board of Supervisors and the school board, in particular options 3, 4, and 5. Option 2A was a additional option added to look at deferred maintenance and closing 2 elementary schools, which would have included Shenandoah and Springfield. However, for the purpose of this presentation, we're only focused on not long-term options, but intermediate options. So if you can go to slide 5. Just to remind, this is not new information. These are the same slides that we have presented in prior presentations. Intermediate option 1 would be to consolidate to 3 elementary schools, redraw boundaries, and eliminate waivers. And you can see a side-by-side comparison. This year, again, nothing changes. All schools remain as is. Waivers are honored per policy, and 0 non-urgent capital improvements at both Shenandoah Elementary School and Springfield. Looking forward to the next school year, this would involve potential boundary readjustments if the board would like to move in that direction, as well as consolidating to 3 elementary schools, 2 middle and 2 high, with 5th grade moving to the middle schools, out of the elementary schools, 8th grade going to the high schools, and we would potentially, with board approval, look at the elimination of school choice waivers. For the purpose of tonight's presentation, we're simply focused on what might this look like simply with consolidation of Springfield Elementary into our existing boundaries as they are, with waivers as they are. So a very simplified approach. It doesn't include, if we were to eliminate waivers, it doesn't include any boundary readjustments. It just says, this is our enrollment and this is what it might look like if we were to consolidate to 3 elementary schools, make the adjustments at the middle school and high school as described in that plan. So this is a very basic look at what that might look like. If you move on, we want to start to take a look at class sizes. So if you move to slide 6, which is on the screen there, you'll see that intermediate option 1 really starts to look at what might happen if we were to discuss the closure of Springfield Elementary School and consolidate with Luray Elementary School, and include waivers as they are. So no boundary readjustments, nothing other than simply taking the group of students that we have at Springfield, combining them into LES, and what those numbers may look like. And so you might see that in this particular slide, you're looking at 2 columns that are very important. That's our current projections for Luray Elementary School in Springfield for pre-K through 4, which is what that consolidation may look like if the board were to approve that by grade level. What the flat enrollment, so this is not accounting for anything that we may have been given in terms of projections. This is just assuming flat enrollment at the numbers that we have currently, what the total population would be at LES, which would be 533 students, and what those projected class sizes would be. And so we really wanted to bring this to everyone's attention this evening because these are real numbers with our staff and with our buildings and our sizes based upon the students that we have now. Certainly as the school year goes on, we'll learn more about what our actual enrollment is, but this is just basing it upon what we know that we had at the end of last year and what we might project for the future. So that's just the combination of Springfield and LES. You can see at pre-K, you will have a class size of 14, and you gradually work your way to the largest class size would be 21 students in 3rd grade. Continuing on, if you look at what may occur at Stanley. So again, you're looking at a total projected enrollment. So of course that number is smaller than what we are used to at Stanley because we are shifting the 5th grade students in this scenario to Page County Middle School. And it shows you what those projected class sizes may be pre-K through 4th grade, given again flat enrollment and not taking into account any decline that may occur. And you can see in this scenario anywhere from 13 to 16. So still very manageable, or 13 to 17, excuse me, still very manageable class sizes at Stanley. Moving forward, if you're going to look at Shenandoah in the same scenario, as is, again, just like Stanley, a pre-K through 4 scenario, you're going to see projected enrollment, what we might look like for a flat enrollment in 27-28, projected class sizes, and what the total enrollment would be. Again, a decrease as compared to what we may have now, because that 5th grade would move to the middle school. Moving forward, now we're going to take a snapshot of middle schools. And so in this model, it's different than what we have been operating under in recent years, where you have a 5th through 7th grade model, and you're seeing, again, class sizes that range anywhere from 15 to 21 students, with a total enrollment at Page County Middle of 321. If you go to the next slide, you'll see what that might look like at Luray Middle, with a total of 348. The number's higher because we are also bringing in our Springfield students and then moving a grade level up into the middle school. But again, remember that 8th grade would go to the high school in both of these scenarios. So that's a quick rundown, a very brief presentation for you this evening. We know that class sizes has been an important point of discussion, and thought that we wanted to bring that to light to you as a board and to our public and to our community. I want to thank our staff that has worked very diligently to look at each and every student in our scenarios and our capacities at building levels to make that happen. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but that is our facility study update this evening. Happy to answer questions this time.
Any questions by the board?
Well, I'll ask it.
Sure.
What if, in the scenario that you just pointed to, if 5th grade moves up to the middle school, could the middle school still maintain the 8th there? I know we're trying to move some population to the high school, but just for sake of some people probably want to know that as well, that I know I've gotten communicated on.
Sure.
What if you left the 8th grade at the middle school? Could they be over capacity, or could they handle those students?
I think from a capacity standpoint, and the numbers would work. I think when we looked at the research, because I know we've talked a lot about what research says, and if our long-term facility plan is to ever include 8th grade at the high school, like I know is part of the 25-year plan, the thought and the research would suggest to go ahead and make that move one time instead of multiple times. So yes, from a capacity standpoint, we probably could. From a programming standpoint, it might be best to do that all at once.
Yeah, because if 8th grade moves up, it gives them greater opportunity
It
for
does. They
language
have-
to
Yes, sir.
higher math classes.
Access to higher level courses. It gets our students access to world languages that they may not otherwise have access to, CTE courses at the high school, and just probably a more robust environment for our students, and from all different paths that they may have, to give them exposure and opportunities to things we may not be able to currently provide at both middle schools.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? I don't see any, so we'll move on.
Yes, sir.
To, any comments? No comment? Okay, not now. Okay. All right, facility task force update. Dr. Johnson.
Good evening, members of the school board. Tonight, I want to bring you just a very short presentation on the potential of adding a facilities task force, which would be the next step in really communication. And I'm going to just walk you through a little bit of what we've done over the last 2 years with committee work, and then conclude with what we'd like to do next, which would be to include a couple of school board members, some parents, and some school administration to enhance our communication process as we continue to work through these conversations about facility study and updates and that sort of thing. And so this presentation, very briefly, I'll walk you through who's been involved so far. There have basically been 3 committees with separate work that have been involved over the last 2 years. And just a reminder on what that looks like as we began to work with RRMM. And then what the adequacy study involved, that was part of what we did with RRMM. And then at the end, just talking about the next step, which is to add a task force and how we can solicit some input from the community and from parents. So to begin with, just very briefly, basically there have been 3 phases. Last year from 2025-26, probably about 8 or 9 months. As you know, we put together a committee that researched the options. And we've talked a lot about this over the last month or two, in which we narrowed down 16 options all the way down to 5. And then as Dr. Huber just stated, then there was one put back in to 6. But there were some specific employees involved. I'm going to show those names here just in a moment and why they were part of the process. It was strategic. Secondly, then, in April of 2026, we did an elementary adequacy study, and that was very specific to what Page County will likely need in the future from an elementary perspective. It was not so much what should we do, should we merge schools, should we build new schools. It was much more the specifics of need in regards to, what does an elementary school need in student-teacher ratio? What subjects do we need to be focusing on? What does it look like in food service? What does it look like in traffic flow? So the elementary and as well the secondary study, they involved our division experts along with our RMM and their team. And so I'll walk you through that. If I can look at the next slide just briefly. So last year, 25-26, you can see the names of the group that narrowed the options. And again, we worked with RRMM. And it's interesting, these folks were included purposefully. The reason they were included was that amongst this list of people, it was amazing to look at the length of their career and how many buildings they worked in. That's important. If we're going to talk about what we should or shouldn't do down at Page Middle or down at Springfield or over at Luray High, if you can recruit leaders who have worked in that building for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they understand traffic flow. They understand what happens in the hallways depending on how large the population is. They understand the ebb and the flow over the years specific to buildings. And so I did a very brief count. We actually have one individual on this list that worked at 5 different schools in his career, several that worked at 4, several that worked at 3. So when you sit these folks around the table with the architect and the experts, and they're able to talk about what is the heat system like in a given school practically, when I sit there for 7.5 hours a day with students, and I did so for 3, 4, 5 years, you get some practical input. And so that's why this group was initially assembled and brainstormed, anything and everything with the architect as to what we might consider. And it ended up beginning with 16 options, as you know. Next, we did the elementary adequacy piece. And in this, again, our RMM and their expert team came to the table. And you can see here, we invited representation from our elementary specialists, our principals, our instructional coaches, our directors that focus on special education, federal programs, our support services, nutritional services, transportation. And we sat down with our RMM and we brainstormed, what does it take to have a successful elementary school? What are the components that you need? VDOE regulations, student-teacher ratios, the specials that we offer, the electives that we offer, specific building needs, food, recess. How does that all play together in elementary world? And these are the very best of our division in regards to experience, tenure, and specializing in certain areas. So we did that with our RMM before we came back to you all and really were narrowing down just next steps. And then we did the same at the secondary level. And again, with our RMM, we talked about what would it look like for food service if we did this? What would it look like for transportation if we did this? And those leaders were at the table saying, we need this, don't forget that. The same with athletics. We had both high school athletic directors at the table, middle school and high school principals and assistant principals. So we thought it was important, you all know this as a board, but the public know it, but maybe didn't pick up, didn't notice when it was presented. So we wanted to revisit it again because there's been a lot of school community involved thus far over the last year and a half, I would say, meeting with the architects, meeting with the experts, and giving input though it's necessary before we make decisions on models, such as Dr. Huber just showed, or ideas. Should we renovate? Should we build? What should we do? These specialists were able to say, well, whatever you do, don't forget these key pieces, because this is everyday school and this is what we need. So that's where we're at. And now tonight, I stand before you with the next step, and that's just maintaining continuity. We've gotten the input from our staff, from our leadership. Now you all have decided as a board that the next step would be a task force. And that task force continuity would continue to consist of a couple of the division leaders that have been through these stages. But then we're asking, we would like to get 2 school board members, and we thought 4 parents. And we try not to let these boards get too large, because it's difficult to work and to decision make if you have 20, 25, 30 people on a board. We also don't want them to be too small and be exclusive. So tonight we're just asking the public to consider being a participant. So if you're a parent, sure there's some parents in the audience tonight, and you would like to be on the next steps, which is the task force. And my next slide is going to talk about what that is. But we have developed a form on the website. We've published that we really want the community to follow our work, to be involved, and so we have the facilities website linked directly from the homepage, Page County Public Schools homepage. Now we want to get a liaison group that would be able to keep the community, our staff, our leadership, our governing bodies in lockstep, and do the very best we can to keep the information flow going, to review information, to review reports that have come across our desk. We would invite members of this task force to advocate for students, and to listen, to consider the varying viewpoints, and really just help us as we move forward, help us in a communication fashion. And so we are asking folks to consider that. And the last slide tells you how to do that. There's an interest survey right off of the main website. Then you click on page facility study, and then you click on the facility study committee link, and it'll ask you what's your name, what's your contact information, which schools do you represent as a parent. We don't ask specifically for student names. We just ask, do you represent the southern end, the northern end? Are you an elementary parent, a middle school parent? And then a couple open-ended questions. What do you bring to the table? What ideas do you have? That sort of thing. And from there, we would attempt to establish a task force with an indefinite timeline, just a request to commit for the next year or so, be available for regular meetings, and be a constituent that would help be a liaison to connect our different groups together. So that's what I have tonight.
Dr. Johnson, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
And as I look at the task force proposal, it's very central office heavy, but it doesn't seem like it's really, school administration level focused. Is that something that we could consider taking a look at?
We
changing?
absolutely can. Yeah, we absolutely can. We listed the 4 admin positions right now just because of the process and being able. It's difficult if you start a committee and you don't have folks who are on the other committees, because you lose your history and your continuity. But there's no reason we can't do that at all.
And I have a question. Going to that link to the Facility Study Committee, when is that live?
Right now?
I checked before the meeting today, and it wasn't there.
Really? Okay. I was on it. What's that? Okay. Yeah.
And I could have missed it, but
I clicked on it about 3 hours ago, and it was functioning, so maybe something's happened. But our intention was, as we presented, for it to be accessible.
I do have that right now pulled up and can verify that it is working.
Okay.
Great.
I pulled it up personally because I wanted to know, Dr. Johnson, do you have a date that you're going to stop that form to where parents can, if they're interested, submit the form by a certain date?
She asked, do you have a date that you're going to stop the form from allowing people to register?
That's a good question. We had not established a date as of yet. I think if we see there being heavy interest, we would probably go a week or two. If there's not as much interest, we'd probably leave it open and try to encourage folks to be part of it.
Did you hear that, Cody?
I did, thank you.
Okay, yep. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Policy updates, Ms. Clark?
Good evening, Board. In front of you this evening, we have several updates that came from VSBA with minor revisions and so forth. Most of it was just tying back into statutory requirements and renumbering of bullet items that were listed in statutes that had been updated. No significant changes to be noted.
Any questions for Ms. Clark? All right, thank you, Ms. Clark.
Thank you.
Budget book, Ms. Miller?
Good evening, school board members. Dr. Huber, you have been presented tonight with the FY27 budget book. This budget book compares the FY27 budget to the FY26 budget. Keep in mind that the FY27 budget is based on an ADM, an average daily membership of 2775, and the FY26 budget was based on an ADM of 2830. The FY27 budget numbers do reflect the adopted budget as of May. It does not reflect the resolution that we recently passed and the adjustments that were made to revenue and expenditure categories. So it is based on the adopted budget as it was. On page 20, I wanted to point a few things out to you I know you will take time to look at it more in the future, but I wanted to point out a few things to you. On page 20, you will see expenditures by object, and you will see that our focus this year on the FY27 budget was to more properly align the salary and the benefit budgets to what they actually are going to be, and more properly align them to the increases in salaries and the health insurance. As you remember from FY26, those were not budgeted enough to cover the actual expenditures, so we did increase that to align it this year. And then additionally, we also had a focus on our purchase services due to the increasing cost of maintenance and the outside companies that we are frequently paying for repairs. The purchase services lines needed to be increased, so you will see that reflected in the budget as well. We did increase that purchase services by a little over $542,000 this year. On page 21, I wanted to point out something else to you as well, because you might wonder why there's lots of blanks there at the bottom left when you look at the building purchase services. We broke out building purchase service by type of service, custodial, HVAC, plumbing, et cetera, so that we can more easily track those categories of expenditures. So you will see that there was nothing budgeted in those lines in 26, and I don't know exactly what our costs are going to be, but I dispersed an amount that we had previously budgeted into those different object codes. And then similarly on page 22, we did the same thing with building materials and supplies by category, and rather than grouping that all under 6,000. So we're hoping to better track those expenditures moving forward. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer for you. I know you will take some time later to review all of that information.
Did you pull up the pie chart on that on page 20? Did you pull it up again? So as we're talking about budget and some of the other presentations we've given, you're looking at 83.7% of our budget is salary and benefits. Is that correct? 63 plus 23, 83.7. And then our purchase services that you mentioned That's up 36%
Correct.
in the
Correct.
budget for that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The question I have, and I love the breaking out, because that makes it easier to discern where that is. How did you arrive at those numbers? Did you take historical data and, without digging through everything?
Are you referring to the 3,000 and the 6,000 lines that I broke out?
Yes.
Yes. What, I did look at historic numbers, but it was rather difficult to really go by
Right, 'cause
actuals,
it's
but
not
that's
broken down.
basically what I did. And we can adjust those, but, like I said, basically took the lump sum of the 3,000 and of course the 6,000 line. And then looking back at to what they were historically, did the best I could do to just divvy that out.
And because they're in the same category, you don't have to ask the Board of Supervisors for a
Correct.
resolution.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Any other questions or clarifications you need?
Not at this time.
Okay, not at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So our next item is citizen comment. And I want to read something, if I can find it. Here somewhere. Here we go. So last meeting, we had citizen comment, and we have a timer that's, every citizen comment is limited to 3 minutes. And some of the folks who were speaking couldn't hear the timer up here. So what I've asked Ms. Comer to do is to make the timer go off at 2:45, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And I'm going to gently tap the gavel, so then you know you got 15 seconds to finish the remark there. I don't want to interrupt anyone while they're speaking. The Page County School Board welcomes citizen comment during regular meetings. School board members do not respond to public comment during a meeting. All comments should address a matter related to Page County Public Schools. The school board will not hear public comment that involves an individual student-related matter, the disclosure of which would violate applicable confidentiality requirements. The school board expects that each speaker will be courteous, modeling for our students how one can respectfully agree or disagree with others' views. Speakers will address their comments to the entire school board and not to one individual board member, nor to the superintendent, a staff member, or the audience. Speakers will have 3 minutes to present their comments from the podium. Also, if you would, state your name and your address. That's kind of a typical thing in one of these, so we kind of know what district you are. And how many do we have today? We have 10. So who's the first one?
Frank Graney.
Frank Graney.
Good evening. I'm glad to get this time. I got 3 grandchildren in Shenandoah Elementary, and I was wondering how many students are in that school. Does anybody know? Okay. That was just a question to everybody. According to the budget, I don't understand everything. I'm trying to find out what's going on, because it's a lot of inconvenience to be moving them to Page County High School or middle school. And they started in that elementary, and I'd like to see them finish in that elementary. The teachers are wonderful. The staff is immaculate. You cannot get any better teachers. And I think there's a lot more to it that you need to talk to the public about than just, with all the committees and everything like that, but the public needs to know what's going on. And especially the employees there. They need to be informed a little bit better. But I appreciate your time, and I hope y'all will keep us all in the ring, because I really don't know what's going on and why everything's getting closed. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Stella Smith.
Stella Smith, if you would just state your name, Ms. Smith, and what your address is for us?
Stella Smith. Good evening, board members. Raleighville, Virginia. I have some things that I got off of the website at school. The exact remaining debt balance for Luray High School and Page County High School, the two schools were financed together, general obligation, public school bonds. Original cost in 2009, $51 million. The balance sets at $5 million to $7.5 million left on that loan. Remaining funds shifted. This is another part of the budget, $2.3 million, and Page County Government CIP, which is capital improvement projects, I understand. Page County's budget, current budget allotted for school system for capital improvement projects are locked, not deferred. They're locked. And it's currently $2,343,000 for maintaining repairs. That's what's locked, if I understand that correctly. School infrastructure studies at $2.25 the cost. That's the school that is paid for the public school system, like for the infrastructure of that. That also is carried over. The carryover amount is $2,554,160 capital projects for the schools related capital projects. And the maintenance is $2.34 million for the regular repairs. So it sounds like to me those things are together and both things are kind of held in a locked position for not doing maintenance or anything yet for the schools. And I just as information, if I still have time, in the budget for Page County, Virginia, I don't know if it's paid yet, but I know it will have to be. The expansion for Battle Creek landfill, $6,532,000. The Emergency Radio Commission communications, $6,266,000. The last mile broadband update, the total is $4,196,320. I'd say we have a really big budget in Page County.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Summer Rain Moore.
Good evening, school board members. My name is Summer Rain Moore, and I'm a current second grader at Shandor Elementary School. I'm here tonight because I want you to understand what closing Shandor Elementary would mean to me, not just as a student, but as a kid who calls school home. For the last 3 years, Shandor Elementary has been so much more than school. To me, it feels like a place where I have learned, grown, made friends, laughed, and made more memories that I will never forget. When I first walked through these doors as a 4-year-old, I was scared. I had never been away from my parents. But the teachers and staff welcomed me with smiles, love, and open arms. They made me feel safe. Over the last 3 years, the people in this building have learned who I am. They know my name. They know who I'm supposed to go home with. They know my allergies and make sure I am safe. They know when I need help, when I need encouragement, and sometimes when I just need someone to listen. That kid of love and support cannot be replaced by moving me to another school. Closing Shenandoah would also affect my life outside the classroom. I have after-school activities, friends, teachers, and people who are part of my everyday life. Changing schools would change where I go after school, how I get there, who I am around, and whether I can continue doing the activities that I love. I know there are numbers and decisions that adults have to think about, but I ask you to please remember behind numbers are children. We are not just students on a piece of paper. We are kids with friendships, memories, dreams, fears, and people we trust. Shenandoah Elementary has helped me grow into the person I am today. It has given me a place where I feel loved, supported, protected, and safe. Please don't take that away from me or from the other children who will get to walk through these doors after me. I am asking you to please keep Shenandoah Elementary open, because Shenandoah isn't just a school. Shenandoah is home. Thank you for listening to me tonight.
Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Puffenberger, 210 3rd Street, Shenandoah. That is a very tough one to follow. As a teacher at Shenandoah Elementary School and resident of the town of Shenandoah, I want to thank you all for listening to our concerns, frustrations, and questions. We treasure our community school. We have very few attendance problems at Shenandoah, which shows that our students like being at school. There is such a rich history there, knowing people like my own grandmother learned in the classrooms of the old part of the building before and during World War II and much earlier than that. That generation did not throw away things because they were old or broken, but repaired and held on to important things. My husband and I are not natives of Page County, but we have chosen to make this our home. We have witnessed the fierce loyalty of PCHS and LHS graduates to their respective alma maters, as well as the strong community bonds in each school community. Throughout my career, I have taught at each of the elementary schools in the county, including Grove Hill. Community spirit is alive and well throughout the entire county. I understand that the much-needed repairs and bringing Shenandoah into ADA compliance would be very costly. Have government grants for historic buildings such as Save America's Treasures been checked into? I realize it may be inevitable, but I don't want to see us giving up and closing down before all avenues have been checked. We do not want to lose the centerpiece of our community. I believe closing Shenandoah would have a negative impact on the town and recent efforts toward revitalizing. More business would likely go to Stanley's stores and restaurants than those in Shenandoah if parents are needing to be in Stanley more often. Despite holding out hope that Shenandoah will not have to eventually close, I ask that you choose to support Dr. Huber's recommendation later in the agenda to at least delay closing Shenandoah. I fear that Page County is selling out our children's futures to the highest bidders in the short-term rental industry that has overtaken our community. I'm concerned that family-based communities aren't a priority for our county anymore, and I would like to see us stand together against that idea and encourage our Board of Supervisors and Planning Commission to find ways for residents and tourists to continue to coexist in harmony as they have in the past without negative impacts on our students. Thank you again for weighing these heavy matters as you make these difficult decisions and lead our school system forward in what is best for our children and their futures in this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
America Shiflett.
Good evening. My name is America Shiflett. I live in Shenandoah. I want to say that I'm a student and I know firsthand about how long a bus ride can be. Transportation is something that really needs to be taken seriously, considered, because this decision doesn't just affect where a child goes to school, it affects how long they are on a bus, how early they have to be ready, and how long they will be home with family. Something else that needs to be considered is how many children are being enrolled at Shenandoah. Our community is growing and our school should be growing with it, not closing their doors. Or as central office talk to their school staff to see what kind of growth they are expecting in the future. How many new students have enrolled this year? Have you looked at those numbers before making this decision? These are questions that deserve real answers. Another huge problem is how many people are actually aware of what is happening. Not everyone has Facebook, not everyone has internet access, not everyone understands social media or knows where to find information online. Shenandoah is a small working class community. We have grandparents raising grandchildren, families may not be online, and people who simply just haven't heard what is happening. Why don't we have representation from our schools involved in these discussions? Where are the students, the teachers, the parents, the staff who are actually inside these schools every day? The people who are directly affected from this decision deserve to have a voice in it. Yes, us kids are resilient. We hear that all the time, but being resilient does not mean that things don't hurt us. Changes like this can cause extra anxiety, stress, and even trauma for students. How do you expect us to learn, grow, succeed, and become the best? This isn't about being just about a building. This is about children, our families, our community, transportation, accessibility, and having a school close to home. What is the benefit of closing our school? How does closing Shenandoah Elementary actually benefit the children who attend it? If the answer is about saving money, then I ask you to also consider what we are losing in return. Shenandoah Elementary has been a part of the community for generations. It is more than just four walls and classrooms. It is a place where children feel safe, families know the staff, teachers know the students, and our community comes together. You cannot put a price on that. Our community deserves to have a voice in this. Us children deserve a school close to home. Our families deserve to be informed. Our teachers and staff deserve to be heard. Quit looking at us students as if we are just a money sign. Look at us as children. Look at our families. Look at our community. We are the future. Thanks.
Courtney Hyso.
Good evening. My name is Courtney Hyso. I live at 802 9th Street, Shenandoah. I am standing in support of Shenandoah Elementary School. We understand the move to the new school is likely in the future, as we discussed for the 25-year plan. We are willing to support the transition once the new school is built. What we are asking for the school board to consider is whether it is truly a necessity to move us before then. Moving students from Shenandoah to another school now can cause tremendous stress on the kids, the students, and the staff. It creates disruption in the families and transportation, and it does not eliminate the responsibility of the costs for the existing building of Shenandoah. If the building must still be maintained, why not use it? Is it worth justifying all this disruption? We're also deeply concerned about the larger class sizes it could mean for the students. Shenandoah provides an environment where teachers can give students more individualized attention and where students feel known, supported, and connected. Those factors do matter. If we want to improve our SOL scores and overall academic education, we need to look at the students being encouraged, supported, and able to be successful, not environments where they feel displaced or overwhelmed. Transportation is another serious concern. Asking young students to spend hours each day on a school bus is not acceptable for long-term solution. This is time taken away from learning, family, education, and extracurricular activities, rest, and simply getting to be a child. Longer bus rides can also create individual challenges for families and greater demands on already strained transportation systems. Shenandoah is more than a building. It is a school community that provides stability, strong relationships, and a positive learning environment. If the long-term plan is to move these students into a new school once it is built, we believe it is the most reasonable approach to allow them to remain at Shenandoah Elementary School until the transition can happen at once rather than a long-term time at different schools. We are not fighting the change. We are asking for thoughtful, student-centered planning that considers the long-term educational, emotional, transportation, and financial impact of our children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
John Griffith.
John Griffith, Luray, District 2. Good evening, board and members of our community. My concern tonight is not about any one facility proposal. My concern is about transparency and public involvement throughout this process. We all understand that our county faces financial decisions because most of us have been living through them for years. However, I believe this biggest concern in our community is that much of the work leading to the current proposals happened without meaningful public engagement or effective communication. A brief mention in a school board meeting from years ago does not provide the level of community involvement a decision of this magnitude deserves. Parents receive regular notifications through different formats about countless school-related matters, yet there was not the same level of communication about a process that could drastically change the schools our children attend. There have also been discussions for months about creating a task force that includes members of the public, thus only now being established to make decisions by January. Transparency is not simply making information available after decisions and proposals have already been developed. True transparency means involving the community early enough for their questions, concerns, and ideas to help shape the outcome. To have enough information, the public needs to clearly understand how we got here. The community has many questions, obviously. What information was considered? What alternatives were discussed? What criteria was used? And most importantly, why was this process primarily developed through school administration without greater involvement from parents, teachers, and community members who will ultimately be affected by this? Those are reasonable questions, and our community deserves clear, reasonable answers without searching through a website created just a few weeks ago. I understand that changes to our facilities may be needed, but we also need to examine the bigger financial picture, including substantial overhead expenses, teachers purchasing classroom supplies with their own money, while over $100,000 is spent on underutilized learning apps, as well as the actual reasons we are losing students and teachers to our schools. Before making decisions that could affect our community for generations, we need to examine the entire system, not just our buildings, but how we use our resources and how we can real-world strengthen the education experience for our students. These decisions are important to make without meaningful, or too important to make without meaningful community involvement from the beginning stages. We need true transparency in the process early on, accountability for taxpayer dollars, and genuine community involvement before final decisions are made. This is bigger than an email, website, or social media post. It is about trust in the future of our schools, our community, and most importantly, our children. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Lauren Allen. I reside at 288 Locustdale Loop in Shenandoah, Virginia. Thank you for this opportunity to share a few of my concerns regarding the proposed closure of Shenandoah Elementary School and the significant impact it would have on our family and community. We drive our daughter, a rising second grader, to and from school daily, and our son will join her next year. If the school closes, continuing to drive our children to Stanley Elementary will cost our single-income family an estimated $1,800 more in gas annually, add nearly 10,000 miles to our single vehicle, and require an extra 6 hours in the car each week. Due to this added time and distance, my daughter would also have to drop her additional extracurricular activities, including dance lessons in Elkton, as we would no longer be able to commute from Stanley in time. These figures illustrate the heavy burden placed on individual families. For students who rely on bus transportation, the time spent commuting would likely multiply, reducing hours they have dedicated for homework, sports, extracurricular activities, and simply time with their families. Beyond the logistical and financial strain, Shenandoah Elementary is a vital asset to our community. Through my volunteer work with the school's PTA, I've seen firsthand how dedicated, caring, and supportive the teachers and staff are. They truly know and care about every student in that school, and they help them flourish. It has been tremendously beautiful to watch. Additionally, I'm concerned about the broader implications for our town, including another empty building, job losses, and long-term demographic changes to our community. I worry many families will choose to simply withdraw their children from our school system in favor of private school or simply homeschooling, further reducing available funding. I respectfully request that you consider keeping Shenandoah Elementary School open so that it can continue to serve our community's needs, our students, and our families, as it has for over a century. Thank you.
Hello, school board members. I didn't come with a prepared speech, so I apologize. I just wanted to voice some concerns. I didn't see your option to, if in fact you did close Shenandoah, but we as parents and grandparents have some concerns about the extra time on school buses, the distance. A lot of our children will have to travel each morning, a lot of people getting up early. I myself live in Elkton, but I take my grandchildren to Shenandoah Elementary. So the commute to Stanley would be extra long, going and coming. So, we have some concerns about that. We also have some concerns about our special needs kids. Shenandoah Elementary staff and teachers have been absolutely wonderful with dealing with our children who have learning disabilities, IEPs in place, support. My granddaughter has really shined in Shenandoah Elementary. She's now moved up to middle school, but despite that, she's maintained an honor roll. She is in advanced math. So if in fact you're going to build new schools in the next 25 years, we would hope that you would allow our school to stay open as long as you possibly can, due to the fact that we're going to get new schools anyway. So I'm not sure how they will affect the classroom sizes in Stanley. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Ortega.
Good evening, distinguished board members, Superintendent Huber. My name is Brian Ortega, and I'm a proud parent of Stanley Elementary and Page County High School. I'm a resident of the town of Stanley. My comments tonight come from a place rooted in collaboration and thought partnership, and my goal tonight is not to simply oppose the proposal, but to offer additional ideas and potential solutions. It's clear from today's comments that our communities are not in favor of closing Shenandoah Elementary and Springfield Elementary and consolidating the campuses. As I've previously stated, I believe that the board should explore every available funding option to keep these schools open and address the facility needs. I'd specifically like to encourage the board and the Page County Public School leadership to research the following private, state, and local grant opportunities if you all have not already done so. The Virginia School Construction Assistance Program, Virginia Public School Construction Funding, USDA Community Facilities Funding, Lowe's Community Impact Grants, Walmart Local Community Grants, Truist Foundation, and the T-Mobile Hometown Grants. These are among the few I've come across in doing some research that we could potentially apply to. While several of these grant cycles have already closed for the year, I'm asking the board to begin preparing and researching these now rather than deciding that closure is the only solution. I would also encourage the board, the school division, parents, alumni, businesses, and community organizations to consider establishing a fundraising campaign for both schools that are being proposed to close. Fundraising could help provide the local match required by future grants, address smaller immediate facility needs, and demonstrate to state and federal funders that the community is willing to invest in these schools, all while giving us more time to come up with a long-term solution. Lastly, I urge the board to advocate to our state leaders regarding our financial challenges. I completely agree that many of the challenges that we're facing are due to a lack of support from our elected officials and poor policies. And this is something that needs to be raised to them. And as a community, I believe that if given the opportunity, we can come together to address this. Our families and communities have spoken loud and clear. I respectfully ask the board to listen to our community's message, pursue other funding opportunities, and give Shenandoah and Springfield a chance before making an irreversible decision to close them permanently. Thank you.
All right, that'll conclude our citizen comments. Action items, approval, purchase orders over 10,000. Ms. Miller and directors.
Good evening again, school board members. You have been presented for your approval purchase orders over $10,000 tonight. The first one is a McGraw-Hill purchase order for $16,607.45. This is for open court supplemental materials for Luray Elementary School, and this will be paid out of Luray Elementary School Improvement Grant. The second one is Pocket Nurse. This is for a VitaScan bladder scanner for Page County Technical Center. This will be paid for out of a Claude Moore grant that they've been receiving the past few years. This total amount of this item is $10,430. The third one is Johnson Controls Building Solutions. This is to upgrade the Metasys software for $35,599. This will upgrade the software, firmware, and other background software. The upgrade will allow for utilities use in a spending analysis. It will help identify anomalies in usage so that we can look into them quickly. And it will also identify offline controllers, sensors, devices, anything that's not working as it should so that we can identify that and get it corrected. And then finally, the fourth purchase order for Carter Machinery Company. This is a preventative maintenance service agreement for the generators in the amount of $10,404.85. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer.
I do.
Of course.
On the upgrade to the software from Johnson Controls, when will that be done and when will the training be completed?
I do not know the answer to that. Do you know? Come up here, please.
Approval happens. It would depend on the approval. We'd get back to sooner than later.
Okay.
I couldn't hear that. What?
It would depend on the approval, but once we get approval, then we could.
Okay.
John.
I had a question on that item as well. When was the last time there was an update?
That I don't know. That's been before. I think the
Probably the medicines we're using right now. Probably the system we're using right now is the original. Whenever Johnson.
So when we built the, okay. Okay, so that's correct.
Yes, sir.
So we've never updated. This will be the first update. Yeah. Any other questions?
I just asked that Dr. Huber let the board know when, after this is approved, that when the software will be installed, ready, and when people will be trained and it'll be up and running.
Understood. I think we also owe the board and the public continued data analysis around what savings we see if and when this happens. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And from that training. Yes, sir.
All right, I need a motion to approve that unless there's other questions.
I have a motion to approve.
The purchase orders over 10,000 as presented.
Okay, so I have a motion by
Second.
Ms. Henry and Mr. Bodwick seconds.
Ms. Henry?
Ms. Henry?
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Reagan?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Ms. Miller, claims for payment.
Yes, you have been provided with claim certification for August 24th, 2026, where total operating expenditures are $268,379.20. Fund 5 food service, $42,332.40, for total expenditures of $310,711.60. With this, you have also been provided with a list of claims and check registers. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Have any questions? Okay, take a motion to approve this.
I make a motion to approve the claims for payment.
The motion by Mr. Thomas,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Bodwick.
Ms. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Reagan?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Policy updates, Mrs. Clark.
Good evening, board members. I bring back before you the policies that were presented at the last board meeting for action tonight. Are there any questions on those?
Any questions?
I will ask this. Once this is approved tonight, when will that be utilized and uploaded for the public to have?
So when they're approved tonight, I send them out to the board and the staff members, principals, administrators to disseminate, and then we'll post it to the board docs, given some board doc difficulties we've been having.
Is that effective for this year, that the forms would need to be filled out?
The forms, anything in here is effective when we update it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You'll entertain a motion to approve the policies.
I make a motion to approve the policies as presented.
Got a motion by Mr. Breeden,
Second.
second by Ms. Bryant.
Ms. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Reagan?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Looking for approval for our school board norms and protocols. Dr. Huber?
Yes, sir. Good evening again, board members and public. I'm pleased to share with our public, those at home, very important work that our board has been engaged in throughout the summer and most recently at a recent workshop. And our board has worked hard to develop governance norms and protocols, which you'll see in this document. Board, these are things that we worked on together as a board collectively, and we feel it's very important to bring this in front of our public and to affirm our commitment, or for you to affirm your commitment as a board to these governance norms and protocols. So I do want to say, as superintendent, I appreciate the work that you've put into this, and I am bringing it for your action and approval this evening to adopt these norms and protocols as a board.
I make a motion to approve the governance norms and protocols as presented.
Got a motion by Mr. Breeden.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Bodwick.
Ms. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Breeden?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Okay, VSBA Code of Conduct. Huber?
Yes, this is an annual, as you are aware, we are a member of the Virginia School Board Association, and the Virginia School Board Association puts out each year a code of conduct for school board members. And so I'm bringing that to the board this evening for your review and approval. You should have that in your packet, and it is available for public review as well. It has essentially 12 items that I believe align with the norms and protocols that you've worked on together collectively, and I think is a fantastic addition to your work as a board, and so I'm seeking your approval. And at that point, if you approve it this evening, we would get your signature and put that on the record as your approval as a board.
Make a motion to approve the VSBA Code of Conduct for school board members
Got a
as
motion.
presented.
Got a motion by Mr. Breeden,
I second.
second by Mr. Thomas.
Ms. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Breeden?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Standard 2526 Standards of Quality Verification.
Still me, yes,
Yes,
sir.
it is.
So presenting again for your review, this is an annual process as well. These are the standards of quality that we are required as a school division to certify each year. There are 8 specific standards as well as miscellaneous reporting requirements. This is not a new process. This is an annual process. I bring it to you to ask for your approval and stating that we have met all of the standards of quality, otherwise known as SOQs, for our school division, and we've met all 8 standards, and I've certified that to the Virginia Department of Education. So I'm seeking your approval on that this evening.
I make a motion to approve the Virginia Department of Education.
So we have a motion by Mr. Bodrick to approve it,
Second.
and a second by Mr. Breeden.
Ms. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Breeden?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Consideration of delaying the proposed closure of Shenandoah Elementary School. I'll let you present that, Dr. Huber, and once we have a motion and a second, I would like to give some time for some comments after we have a motion and a second. That way we can ask all kinds of questions, everybody can understand what's going on, and then we'll have a vote.
Yes, sir. I am bringing to action this evening to the Page County Public School Board the consideration of delaying the proposed closure of Shenandoah Elementary School until the approval of a 25-year master facility plan for the school division and the county.
All right. I make a motion that we delay the closure of Shenandoah until the approval of a 25-year master plan.
I second.
We got a motion by Mr. Thomas, a second by Mr. Breeden. Now, any discussion or questions that you have for Dr. Huber? Or comments you'd like to make?
I'll make one. This does not affect the waivers, correct?
It does not, no, sir.
Okay.
We have had quite a bit of information thrown out to the public. Can't hear?
You've got my closer.
Yeah. We do recognize the amount of information that has been coming in to you guys over the last few meetings. And you have to start somewhere to create a conversation and a direction. And it's a lot. And we're trying our best to narrow it down. We might stumble along the way, but we're asking for your patience with us as well, because we do want you all involved. We appreciate your involvement. We want to hear from our community. I think that it made sense from a CIP to apples comparison between Shenandoah and Springfield, our aging buildings. However, the population of students that we serve in both buildings are very different at the moment. We do recognize all of those things. And as we're looking at all of the options, and let's keep in mind, none of them have been approved, none of them are voted on, we don't have an approval for a budget. We are presenting to the public the information that we have gotten from a demographic study. A demographic study is projecting what our community is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years. We have a birth decline, which means I know that our community absolutely gives to our school division, but the state and federal for average daily membership is significantly larger, and that is sustaining the public school. So as those numbers drop, we are looking at very hard decisions. And that is why we are bringing all of our findings to you all. That is why we are including the supervisors. I have no idea when the last time that our county did a demographic study. It's very important. I consider the school division to be the pulse of your community, and we are telling you that it is weakening. And I appreciate that you are at this meeting, but you need to be attending the Board of Supervisors meetings. And I would ask that you give them grace, because a lot of the things that are set in motion was prior to them being seated. And now they are going to be shouldered with the directions that we go based on the demographic study. They've got a full plate. They need us to be there to give them options and solutions, and we have got to come together, because we are now, the school system sounding the alarm as to what your community, not just your school, what your community is going to look like in 5, 10 to 15 years. This is bigger than all of us in this room, and there are many decisions that this board, we are trying to show our study so that we can help them navigate what we need to grow as a community. So I would like to just keep that in mind, that we are weighing all of those things, and we are developing a team. We do want people to weigh in. This is not something that happens right overnight. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for attending the meetings, and attend your Board of Supervisors meetings. Get to know your Board of Supervisor. Get involved there. This is not just about the schools. This is about your entire community and what you want that to look like.
I'll just add a couple comments to her talking about the community and the Board of Supervisors. The ADM issue is a revenue issue. There's another issue that's happened as well for the last 3 years, and that's a budget issue. And audit from 2024, we were over budget $100,000. In FY25, we were $448,000. So you're looking at, a quick 9 million right here, or close to it. And then the resolution last year that we had to pass to make our budget whole for the board, for the folks that are on this board in the end of the year, was 1.02 million. So the Board of Supervisors covered us in 24, covered us in 25, and covered us in 26. And when we look at these things as leaders on the school board, you got to look at what next year looks like, what next budget looks like. Can you afford to give your teachers raises? Can you afford to pay for benefits? Can you afford the CIPs? I heard information tonight that I find very interesting. And we're working with the Board of Supervisors. As a matter of fact, on 9/8, September 8th, there's going to be a meeting in the Board of Supervisors conference room on the 3rd floor of the county seat. And Dr. Huber and I are going to go through these findings and reports that he's already done. And that happened because I reached out to my school board member in my district, my Board of Supervisor in my district, and I told her about what was going on. She says, can you guys come and present? And within 30 minutes, she already had us on the agenda to present that. So if you want to be involved and understand what Ms. Bryant said, 9/8 is one of those days, is to come to that meeting. The other one to come to is 9/21. And that's going to be at the Luray High School auditorium. That's going to be a Board of Supervisors meeting, and they're going to talk about STRs, and these kind of things are coming up. Now, I have my opinion on STRs, but I don't mean my opinion's correct. And we're trying to give the Board of Supervisors as much information as what's going on in our schools, what's going on in our budget, and then they have to take into account what they're going to initiate as a county-wide and how they move forward. And we're going to end up asking probably next year if we keep the footprint that we have, and if we add some CIP in it, you're talking about probably $1 to $2 million, okay? And then when you add the salary and the benefits, you're talking about another $900,000. So we're probably going to ask for additional funds for CIP, salaries, and benefits of $2.9 million. And what they're going to do is either reject that or raise taxes or tell us we got to come in with another number. And that's the reality of it. And that's why we're doing this. So I'm with Ms. Bryant. Get involved, not only in the school board meeting, but also in the Board of Supervisors. And we're meeting with Board of Supervisors, the chair and myself, Dr. Huber and Amity, Ms. Moeller. We meet probably every other week to talk about some of these things. So get involved. And that's kind of the pressure. That's another point of the pressures of what we've got going on, a revenue and a budget problem. Any other comments or questions?
I have one, Dwayne, I'm not sure how well everybody can hear me, but.
We can hear you.
Awesome, thank you. My comment is, as we go into this vote for Shenandoah, I do want us to make sure the community understands that we are transparent on the long term, because there is understandably concern amongst our community members that, we're building trust, we're rebuilding trust, not just as school board team, a central office team, this full division. And this transparency that I'd like to bring up is long-term. It's the master plan. So while we are at a vote right now for Shenandoah, I don't want any of our community members to get the wrong perspective on the future state, that some of these hard decisions may come back up. They may not, they may. So that's my comment as, a parent of our children in these schools, and then as school board member, these tough decisions would come back around as we look at the master plan. So we're going to have a vote tonight, but I wanted to be sure that that was out there as well.
And I'd like to add to that, Ms. Henry. You bring up a great point. Everything that we have shown you, recognize that at some point every single school will be discussed. We are not honing in on any one in particular as far as but there is a plan, and how do we streamline that? And if you go back to the original, at some point we will have to discuss every building. So while things might get delayed, we are being very transparent in what the projection of the future could look like. This is why we're having these conversations. And we're being very upfront about, at some point, we're going to talk about all of them, especially as we have CIP needs that grow and we have birth declines. What, Mr. Painter, are we under 500 students? Are you talking about what's our rate that we're losing?
Well, we lost from 2019, we've lost a little close to about 500 students. So you're talking about $5 or so million out of our budget. That's the revenue from the state and federal that we're not getting because of that. And I don't know what the trend looks like. I mean, that's kind of the whole comprehensive look. We have to do it with the Board of Supervisors.
Right.
That revenue may continue to, that student population may continue to go down, and the revenue may end up going down. So we're trying to project and understand what it's going on, but there's hard decisions to be made for sure. I have any other questions or comments? Okay, I don't hear any. We'll have a vote.
Ms. Henry?
Ms. Henry?
What's the motion?
Call the question.
Yes.
What's the motion?
The motion was to.
Mr. Thomas made.
He made the motion.
And you seconded it.
That's right, we did.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Lots of comments.
Yeah, okay. Miss Henry, could you hear your to vote now?
Yes, I said yes.
She said yes, sorry.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Breeden?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes. Okay. Next one, board member comments. I'll start down at the end with our students. They want to say something.
I got like one thing I want to say. I feel like the elimination of waivers is probably an idea that would definitely need a lot more consideration. One of the major parts of the learning experience is like the environment. Some people like thrive in a smaller class, while some like do well in a larger class. And I feel like removing that would like probably like force them into like a experience that doesn't fit them the best. For example, like I used to go at Lugay Elementary. I love the school, so many good teachers, but the problem was the classes were like pretty large, so it wasn't like a perfect like experience. So my family like looked around, and they met someone named Miss Day who offered me an amazing like school. That school was Springfield, and I absolutely thrived when I got there. I met so many good teachers like Miss Morrison, Miss Kai, Miss Johnson, and overall, like I love the place so much. Again, I just want to say it's not like the teacher's fault at Lugay Elementary, not at all. It was just the problems that were like out of their hand. But what I'm trying to say is, I feel like people should have a say in like what they want to do and where they want to go school-wise. Thank you.
Adding on to what he had to say, I went to Grove Hill and Springfield, so it's kind of sad and sappy, but you have to do what you have to do. And then again on the waivers, I wouldn't be able to go to Luray this year if we didn't have the waivers, and I kind of like them. It is my last year here, and I think a lot of what was said today is it's thick, it's heavy material, and it needs to be thought through. And I think we need to hear from everyone, and I'm glad everyone stayed tonight, because seeing you guys here and hearing you guys is all that matters, really.
Again, kind of just piggybacking off of what she said, I don't really have anything too into detail, but this definitely is something that needs to be very, like, a lot of thought needs to be put into it. Just every detail really needs to be looked at. You can't really skip any little detail. But I really did like hearing from each person, just like the thought, the heart, and all of that. I liked hearing from the community. So, yeah.
The comments today really hit home for me. I graduate this year. I'm a senior, but I'm staring at my kindergarten teacher right now. I'm staring at the kids, the teachers that shaped me as a person. And I just find it's a very heartwarming experience, and I just want to say that it did shape me as a person, and the people did love and care about me, and it shows just how much the school matters. I grew up in Shenandoah. I live in Stanley now, and I go to Page County High School, but I grew up in Shenandoah, and I just find that it is a very thought out process, and it needs to be considered. And I loved hearing everyone's opinions and just seeing the faces and actually y'all showing y'all's emotions. You're not screaming numbers at us. You're not telling us certain things. You're actually showing that you have the heart and caring for your community, and it's really outstanding to see.
Well, I'll take this opportunity to thank everybody for coming out, and thank those of you that spoke for showing us grace. There's been a lot of grace shown to us throughout the process, and certainly appreciate that. And we ask for that continued grace as we continue to walk through what is going to be, a difficult future for Page County, as Ms. Bryan alluded to. But again, I appreciate everybody's involvement. This is the type of involvement that I have craved since I was appointed to the board back in February. But I don't want this involvement to just stop with this issue. I want this involvement to continue with the good issues that face our school and the bad issues that face our school. So please, please, please continue to show up. And to the staff that has been getting our schools ready for prime time here in 3 days here. Thank you. So thank you to Dr. Huber in the central office. Thank you to the teachers. Thank you to the support staff. Thank you to the administrators. Thank you to everybody that has been involved in the crucial steps that it takes to get us ready for prime time. So I don't know about you guys. I'm looking forward to Thursday. So let's go Page County.
I'll piggyback off from Mr. Thomas. Thank everyone for showing up and giving us the grace. And we definitely need to hear from you. Your opinion does matter. You in the process does matter. So I appreciate all the emails. I have read them. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate everyone showing up. It's a hard thing to do. I grew up in the community. I've been here not practically my whole life because I did move away for a career, but Page County is unique in its way that it does its schools. So I know that it's at its heart, and sometimes it's hard to give up something that you're so near and dear to. I'm that way with how they're all are. I was that way when Grove Hill closed. When I started out my career, before I decided what I was going to do, I substitute taught at Grove Hill and Springfield a lot. So, and that what helped define which grade I was going to teach, what grade levels. So it was disheartening to know about Grove Hill, and it's disheartening to know about we're in that position now of looking at schools potential closing. But the hope is that when a school closes, that a new birth is also given to a new school. And I know it's hard to even consider that. It was hard when the high schools were done, and then the middle schools were curated. But I know that same heart and love will be in those new buildings because the staff is going to be the same. They just shuffle from one building to another. It's hard to give up those schools. I love them. Springfield is, 1933, I think. The plaque has Roosevelt's name on the placard right there as you walk in. I haven't noticed the one in Shenandoah, but it's hard. I went to Stanley, and I loved it at Stanley. I went through all of those renovations at Stanley pretty much, so it's been hard to live through those, and it's going to be hard to see some of the decisions that have to be made. However, everything is not driven by money. So if you want something done differently than what seems to be the case, please show up at the Board of Supervisors meeting. It's your money. That's what it takes. With declining enrollment, that means less funding from the state and the federal government. That means it goes on the locality to come up with it. Page County only can support but so much, no matter what we want to do, no matter how many schools we want to keep open. So just know that if you want to support the schools, you've got to show up there and say, yes, I'm willing for my money to go there. You have to let them know.
Well, everything's been said, but I want to say, first of all, a takeaway should be there's no predetermination that something's going to happen right now at the school system. You know, it's still a study. It's still a look at this. It's still a how can we do the best for students. Second, if you show up at the school board, have the same great speakers with the same good enthusiasm. I think that's important. They need to hear that. They need to hear that. Third, the bind is the state gives us X amount of dollars per student, and the rest comes from taxes. So both ends of that sword cut. You know, pay more taxes. The state isn't going to give us more per student. They have to meet to every student in the state. And fourth, Britt thanks all the school people for the great job they've done, the preparation and everything. I want to thank the parents too that send forward the good students and get them to school, and encourage them and push them and prod them and help teach them. Thank you for your effort. That's all.
Kind of talking more about the monetary situation, the local composite index, which is evaluated every 2 years by the Virginia Department of Education, it is telling our community that we are considered more wealthy than what we are. I know that seems crazy to everybody in this room, but that is one of the things that they use for their calc tool. In short, what that means is, hey, the prices for those homes they're looking good. That community's doing well. The state then says you can give more money. Your locality can afford to give your school division more money. So that's already going to happen as well. Your board of supervisors is already in another position that they are going to have to be funding the division more. I think that's an important thing, and that has everything to do with, a calculation tool that is used by the Virginia Department of Education that says that we are now wealthy and we're doing well and we're thriving, and we are having a conversation that is completely the opposite of that. So just trying to get you to understand the rationale, and these are very small things, but do get involved. Do get involved on a county level. Like I said, today we're talking about schools. In 5 or 10 years, it is going to be more of the projection of looking around you. What do you want to see? What do you want to see happen with your community? And as I said, be there for your supervisors. Come up with great ideas. We have got to come together as a community, and we have got to also accept that everything is not going to be absolutely convenient for all of us. You don't get to live in this beautiful rural community and have access 15 minutes away. There are some things that we sacrifice to stay in this beautiful area, and it will be the community who decides where we compromise. So be prepared for those conversations, because compromise means I don't always get what I want, and neither are you all. But we've got to come together to move forward for our future. That's not immediate, obviously. So think bigger picture with all of us. School year is going to start. I am very excited, and I think all the back to school kids are excited. I've already seen quite a few talking about the stuff that they've gotten, and they're excited about their book bags and going to ride the bus. And thank you all for the hard work. I know the summer is incredibly busy for all of you all, on top of everything else that you have jumped into. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing, and keep showing up. Thank you all for being here and being supportive of your school. Thank you.
I just want to add something back to hers about the composite index. Yes, that's gone up, and it shows the ability of our locality to maybe pay more in taxes. But where the state doesn't do a full study on is, and I just saw it on Facebook today, but each school, when they did their presentations to us, showed us what their economic status of their students were. It's very, very high for low income. And now it just reported out on Facebook, was where I read it, that all of our schools are now going to receive free lunch for all the students. You only get that from the state when your numbers are high. So I don't understand, I sort of do understand, but it's hard to understand why the composite index is so high when the ability to pay for a student lunch isn't there. So there's a disconnect there. And that's where you have to get involved with your legislatures, your state legislatures, and let them know that, hey, why is our composite index going up? It says our ability for local to fund the schools. We can't even pay for the students to have their lunch, a large portion of us. So you have to get involved at the state level too, because that's where the greatest funds come from, not just from the locality. So find those facts out, contact your legislatures, and let them know, hey, our composite index may be going up and shows our ability to pay more. However, why are our schools so high in the inability to pay for school lunch. So there's a disconnect there. I'm done.
Okay. Ms. Henry, do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you. I want to start by saying to my fellow board members and the community members, I appreciate the support and understanding to allow me to join via phone. I'm currently out of state for a family emergency, and I recognize how important these discussions and conversations are. So I just appreciate everybody's support in allowing me to join by phone. I do actually have a question before I get to more comments. Maybe this is more for Dr. Huber, but is there, when we look at those classroom sizes that you presented, are those coming from adding classes? Are we adding a teacher, adding a classroom? How are those numbers getting balanced with the additional students?
So, great question. When we're looking at class sizes, what we're doing is assuming a flat enrollment and looking at building capacity and then staff numbers to create those ratios. So we're not necessarily creating new classes. We're taking staff from the existing buildings into the new configuration and then coming up with those numbers.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I had assumed that, but of course did not want to assume.
Sure.
So to the community, thank you for coming out. We always appreciate you guys being involved and hearing how much our schools mean to us. It's just heartwarming. It really is to understand that you guys love your schools, right? We love our schools. Our children are very blessed to be in the PCPS school system. There's been recent studies done by the Virginia Department of Education that have come out where we as a PCPS school system are actually ranked higher in a lot of the communities around us. So we really are a blessed school system. We might have these difficult decisions to work through, but when we look at the grand scheme of what is offered to our students, how amazing our teachers are, we are a very blessed community. And thank you to the teachers. You guys have all done lots of work, and our administrators to prepare for the school year that is right on top of us at this point. I don't know where the summer went. You guys might feel the same, but I know my kids are excited to get back into school. So thank you again for being part of the conversation and on this journey with us. And I wish everybody a wonderful kickoff to this school year Thursday.
Thank you. So I just had just a couple comments about what happened. So this past week, Dr. Huber and I went and visited Shenandoah Elementary and met with all the teachers and staff to talk about this issue that we just voted on today. We also met with the town councils of Luray, Shenandoah, and Stanley, with the county administration and two of the supervisors that they could attend, I guess, the meeting. And he went through all this deck and kind of gave everybody a heads up on what's going on. And one of the things that kind of struck somebody that saw me at Flotsy's the other day, and he said, first off, you guys got a hard decisions to make. He also said he didn't realize that I think 3 or 4 of our schools were built before World War II. So when you think about that, I mean, that's pretty significant. But also when you mentioned that the LCI looks like we're a rich county, everybody groaned, just like almost a lot of folks did here as well. And Jason, Mr. Breeden, you are correct. Those economically disadvantaged students are not figured into those numbers. So that's the struggle for our board and our board of supervisors on how we move forward. With that said, we're looking forward to a great year. We've got a great school system. You look at our numbers compared to our adjoining counties, we're better than them. You look at our teacher pay per student, we're not too far away from Rockingham County. It's kind of surprising when you see that data. So we're doing a lot of good things. We fought for raises. We want to fight for raises. We've done some good things, and we've got some schools that are performing well. That the one we're sitting in our other high school are distinguished schools. So what you're doing, what you're feeding up, elementary schools and middle schools to the high schools, and what they do with it is great things, that we're graduating a nice percentage, very good percentage of our students. So thank everybody. It's good to see the students talk. That was kind of neat. And at this point, if that's the last comment, we'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Well,
We need our special script.
All right, well, I'd make a motion, we enter closed session to discuss personnel, section 2.2-3711A1, pertaining to discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for school board employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salary, discipline, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of the school board.
I'll second that motion.
We got a motion by Mr. Thomas and a second by Mr. Bodwick.
Ms. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Breeden?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Bryant?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you all.